Gary Phelps. Many of you may better know him as Luke. Luke was first diagnosed with leukemia when he was 17 years old. He successfully conquered his first encounter with cancer. But unfortunately, the leukemia came back for a second time this year. I can't thank you enough for coming to our relay event tonight to share your story with us, Luke. And without further ado, everyone please join me in welcoming Luke Phelps with a warm round of applause.
Everybody will have fun tonight. It's too bad we can't be outside, but it is what it is. Thank you, Jennifer, for that introduction. And for those of you who didn't hear, my name is Luke Phelps. I'm a third year here at ACPHS, and I've had leukemia twice. The specific type is APL. It's a more rare type of leukemia for younger individuals. And when I was asked about speaking for Relay today, I was nervous at first. Not because of speaking in front of a crowd, I'm fine with that, but because I felt like I really didn't suffer as much as others may have that are here or that we know of. But after talking back and forth a little bit to my friends and family, I decided that I would speak. But my decision was that I would tell my story for hope to others who are either had cancer or know someone that are going through it right now. That it's not all terrifying, and to stay positive and to have a large supporting cast of family and friends as much as you can get. And I do believe these are the best tools in beating the cancer. And I also believe that they can be used to treat or beat anything else that could come your way in life. So here's my story. I was first diagnosed when I was 17 years old. I was in 11th grade at the time in high school. Weeks leading up to me being admitted in the hospital, I have what we now have all learned probably and know about as the typical symptoms of leukemia. I had very bad joint pains all over my body, starting in my back, leading to both of my elbows and eventually both of my knees. I was always very tired, and I also had the normal bruising all over my body. And eventually, my mom made me an appointment for the doctor. But that morning at 9 a.m., I had also scheduled a dentist appointment. And I went to the dentist appointment, came back home, and I was still very tired, and I didn't have the appointment until much later in the afternoon. So I decided to go back to sleep. But what had happened at the dentist's office was that I began bleeding, and I actually didn't stop bleeding throughout most of the day. So I already knew something was pretty bad. But so my mom and I go to the doctor's office, and he sends us to the nearby hospital to go get blood work done. And so my mom and I go over and do that. And we go back home, and if you can imagine driving from Albany Med right across the street back to where we are right now in the Student Center, that's about the distance that my mom and I had to drive. And by the time we got back to my house, there was already a message on our answering machine telling us to go directly to Albany Med. So my mom calls some of my family and calls the rest of them on the way down. We're going down to the hospital. And by the time we get to the hospital, I'm still bleeding, by the way. My counts were so low from bleeding so much and from having the leukemia that the nurses were actually very surprised I was even walking. And so to kind of condense the story here, where me and my father and my mother are waiting in the emergency room for a special doctor to come in. And eventually that doctor does come in, and he introduces himself, and he comes right out with us and how he was throughout all my treatment. And he says, "We're pretty sure your son has leukemia." This next part I am not making up, and this is actually the first thing that came into my mind when I was told I had leukemia. I know a lot of people, when they ask survivors what they first thought, they have different things that came across their mind, different things they first said or whatever. The first thing that came through my mind was, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to watch the movie A Walk to Remember again. I'm not making that up, don't know why, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. I love that movie. So, after this goes through my mind, I look over to my right, and my mom instantly starts crying. And it's reasonable. I look at my dad, the person I admire most in this world, the person that I can only dream of becoming one day, the man that is, like myself, extremely emotional, the man that I've seen cry time after time for losing simple things as a pet. I look over to him, And he immediately starts asking the doctor what's next. Doesn't break out, doesn't cry or anything. And he never broke out in front of me in the hospital. Never showed his weakness, never cried. And later my girlfriend would tell me how his face looked when he was walking out to the waiting room to tell my family what was wrong. And that's something I would never want ever to see. And how my dad was able to stop from showing any of this emotion around me is something I will probably never understand until I have kids of my own one day. My dad is who set the standard for how I battled both times. To stay strong and positive, and that's what we did. The second time that I was diagnosed, he did the same thing. Turned his head around, looked at me and said, "We beat it once, we're going to beat it again." Both times that I was diagnosed, I did have times when I was sick. So don't get me wrong, it wasn't all great. During chemo, I did get sick a little bit, but only for weeks that I really can't remember because of pain that I had. I was on a lot of morphine, so I can't even really remember it that much. And I don't know what it was that I could do this so well, but I honestly believe that it's because of the support and the positive attitude that my dad set right from the beginning. Alright, and so throughout my hospital stays, I started realizing that I was going through treatment really well. And to go back to that really strong support I had, I was in the hospital for over 30 days and nights. Not one night was there not a person with me. I always had a family member stay with me. I was never left alone for more than 5 minutes at a time. And that was to talk to a doctor, something like that. I always had someone with me. But after I got out of the hospital, I went back home, and I was to start therapy 5 weeks at a time. There were 2 blocks. And Monday through Friday, I'd go to school in the morning until 11, get a ride down to Albany, get chemo for the rest of the day. Every day, Monday through Friday. So when I started realizing and I was doing really well with all the treatment, is when I would walk down the hallways. And something else I should probably tell you, I was 17, I was under 18, so I was still in a child unit for all my treatments. So walking down these hallways is one of the reasons why I was nervous about speaking, is because I saw kids that were very sick, that could only lay down in the dark because of different symptoms they had. And it really made me feel bad that I was able to walk down these hallways on my own. And I guess the point in which I really found out that I was doing really well with my treatments is there was one time when the doctor came in, like he always did every day when I was getting my treatment, and he asked what I had been doing when I went home. And I told him the truth. I said I'd been playing baseball with my dad. And he said, "Wow, that's great." And my dad would later tell me that he actually pulled my dad outside of the room and asked what I'd really been doing. He was blown away by the fact that I was playing baseball. And my dad said, "Yeah, he's playing baseball, what he's doing." And the doctor was just blown away by the idea that I was able to do that. So basically after this, I finished all my treatments, did really well like I was doing with that one, like I had before. And once again, I didn't ever really get that sick. And the chemos that I was getting, we were told that I would get really sick, and for some reason I just never got really sick at all. And after being diagnosed the second time this year, I was told that I would probably not attend school this year. This really killed me, because I did not want to miss school. So once again, I would prove the doctors wrong. I would go to class in the morning and then go to treatment either before classes, between classes, after classes. And when most people were getting these chemotherapies at the clinic I now go to, they would sleep and just relax there, watch TV. I was studying all my classes that I had to, like patho, pseudochem, and biochem. This is how I spent my 2 hours of treatment. And I knew I didn't want to fall behind in school, so I had to keep pushing myself to stay up in my studies, and maybe it was something that took my mind off of everything, and that really helped in the end. And also, again, going along with that is my positive thinking that I had. I never thought, "Oh my God, is this it? Am I going to die?" I mean, you can tell from the first time I was told I had leukemia, I had a different mindset, I believe, than a lot of people did. And I think that's because of my friends and family. And the support that I'm talking about includes this school. This school was amazing. I did not expect to have such support from a school, from a college like this, a bigger college. High school, I can see that. Everyone knows me. I live in a small town, but everybody around me, my professors, everybody I talked to was exceptional. I was very blown away by that, and I'm truly grateful for everyone that has helped me this year. So in conclusion, I guess what I'm trying to say with my story is that, yeah, sometimes bad things happen, and to you or other loved ones that you know. But if you can try not to focus on all the negatives, I really believe that it will help in fighting through everything you might be going through. If anything, I hope that I gave at least one person here hope that not everything might be as bad as it seems they are, and to keep fighting and to keep positive that anything can happen. Thank you.